I started in the motor trade at 15. I went on a work experience placement with a Land Rover, Honda franchise company, Jaguar franchise company, and at the end of the week they gave me the job and said, "Would you like to start?" And that was my entry into the motor trade, really. And then in 2000, I went off and opened my own garage. That's what I was doing prior to February. I was feeling unwell. I'd been to the doctors and I'd been to the GPs. The GP said, "I think you need to go to A&E." I went in the morning. They did all the ECGs and checks for the heart. So everything was absolutely fine. Not a particular problem. They were just waiting on bloods. But the bloods got delayed slightly. They wanted to run more tests. And by the evening, they'd discovered that the heart was fine, but I'd developed leukemia. From then on, it became a bit of a whirlwind. They knew that Hull might push me into quite extensive treatment very quickly. And because at that point, the boys were only 11, they weren't allowed anywhere near the hospital. So we needed to get the kids up, because we got 4 children, to come up and see us before I went in, just to sort of say goodbyes to them and so forth. She said, "We would have been surprised if you could have even gone 3 weeks more." She said it was that severe and it was that aggressive. They started chemo 1, which went more or less to plan. We had a few complications afterwards. I had infections they couldn't quite control. And then we had to go straight into round 2, chemo 2. So we went to a next level of chemo, stronger chemo, to try and deal with it. It unfortunately caused an abscess at the same time, because the chemo had wiped out my own body's immunity to fix even the slightest infection. They were sensitive of whether we could operate or not, but we actually had to go ahead with the operation regardless, because it needed to be done. And then unfortunately I came out for only a couple of days and went down with sepsis. They had one last chance of being able to put an antibiotic on, which is what they went with, but they really weren't sure that we were going to get much more than 24 hours. The team then thought it was serious enough not to continue any further treatment. They'd put me on a do not resuscitate notice. If it hadn't kicked in, there would have been no other treatment they could have done. Luckily it did, and they got it recovered to the point that I could go back onto the wards. They had got the leukemia into remission, and they found that out while I was on HDU, that they'd got the leukemia in remission. And we'd got the all clear on the leukemia, although we had the risk of it coming back at any point. First week of August, I went back in for the initial prep work to go to bone marrow, and on the 11th of August, they managed to do the bone marrow transplant. There's a few complications on the way, which is not particularly unusual for having come out of the bone marrow. But we're in a really pretty good place of hopefully recovering. You know, in the very early days, as soon as we started to get the diagnosis originally, is when Ben got involved with us, and we'd made the call to see what help they could offer, and we knew that it was there to help mechanics that were in trouble. Our lady that was appointed to us was fantastic, because she took over and could point us of what we needed to do when. We could concentrate the medical side, and Ben would call us weekly or whenever we needed it to say, "This is coming up as a deadline, you could do this. This, you know, statutory pay could be got, but then it's going to run out at this state." And then they started to support far more for the family and for the kids particularly. Ben managed to arrange for a Ferrari day for the children to go to Silverstone to a Ferrari day. But Ben supported us 2 ways over the Christmas for the kids. They gave them Argos vouchers so that we could get them presents for each of them, which was amazing. And certainly, you know, after a hard year, that was very special. And they also managed to get vouchers for us for the Christmas shopping, to do all of the food, to pay for all the Christmas food. It was amazing help to know that we had a point of contact if we wanted to get advice, or if we thought things were going wrong, or if the authorities were confusing things or making it harder than it needs to be. Ben would kick in and do that for us, and that then gave us the time to concentrate on the treatment and the recovery and dealing with the matters that we needed to. Making that call early, as we learned to our benefit, was the best thing we could have done. Knowing your background and knowing the trade and knowing what life is like around the trade, I think is a massive help, and makes it much easier for people to understand. The support massively makes a difference when we most need it, or when people most need it, and I think anybody that could donate that would only be making the lives of so many people so much easier when they're at the lowest or when you least expect it. You know, ours came out of it within a week. We'd gone from thinking we got a cold to dealing with sort of a major health issue. So the money and the resources and the people that were provided for by the donations was incredible, because that's what made life so much easier for us, and must make it so much easier for so many other people.